Senator Mitch McConnell of Kentucky urged his party to keep up its fight against President Obama's signature healthcare law and ignore naysayers who believe it cannot be done during a muscular speech here on Friday linking the effort to his party's salvation. Speaking at the Conservative Political Action Conference, or CPAC, Mr. McConnell, the Republican leader in the Senate, likened the party's resistance to Obamacare to his own successful effort to eradicate the campaign finance law known as McCain-Feingold. "We gave it everything we had," he said, adding, "We can't stand by and look at the assault on liberty and do nothing." Pointing to a stack of paper more than 6 feet tall that he said was the contents of the new healthcare law, he said, "If there was ever a symbol of what we're fighting against, this hour, right here, is it." The Supreme Court upheld most of the health law last summer, which Mr. McConnell acknowledged to be a setback, though he said he had just as many losses in his fight against the campaign finance law, which the court struck down in 2010. Overall, though, Mr. McConnell, of Kentucky, made it clear he had heard enough about his party's problems. "I'm a little tired of the hand-wringing. Conservatives were never meant to be the party of the crybaby caucus," he said. "The solution," he said, "was simple. If you get your tail whipped, you don't whine about it. You stand up and you punch back." Conservatives take up question of change at retreat. Doxon Hill, MD. As conservatives gather here for their annual retreat known as CPAC, a single question hangs over the event: what does change look like for a party that knows it needs revitalization if it wants to have national majority support? Is it change that goes to the core of the party's long-held policy views on social issues, foreign affairs and the government's role in daily life? Or is it more change in tone, a simple shift in the way the party speaks about those long-held positions so a broader audience will listen and buy in? On a day when political news is being dominated by the announcement from Senator Rob Portman, Republican of Ohio, that he now supports gay marriage, the change question will be picked up here by former Senator Rick Santorum of Pennsylvania, a staunch social issues traditionalist, Gov. Bobby Jindal of Louisiana, who is expected to elaborate on his entreaty to Republicans to stop being the stupid party, former Gov. Jeb Bush of Florida, who has been a leading voice for outreach to Hispanics, and Romney, who can't perhaps best be described as a pragmatist, and who, as Politico notes this morning, may not find his views on the way forward particularly welcome. Two of the party's early 2016 presidential prospects, Senators Rand Paul of Kentucky and Marco Rubio of Florida, offered starkly different views on the question on the first day of the Conservative Political Action Conference, which is being held at the National Harbor Convention Center. In saying we don't need any new ideas, the idea is called America, and it still works, Mr. Rubio, of Florida, was clearly coming down on the side of traditionalism, opposition to same-sex marriage, a dose of skepticism for the science of climate change and a forceful American foreign policy. In saying the party has grown stale and moss-covered, Mr. Paul was calling for a retreat from the assertive Republican foreign policy approach, a shift in its view on drugs, as in, legalize some of them, and a new emphasis on what he calls personal liberty, i.e., avoid the same-sex marriage issue altogether by stripping the tax code of marriage definitions in the first place. Former Gov. Rick Perry of Texas, who spoke after Mr. Paul and Mr. Rubio on Thursday, came down on the don't go changing too much side of the question. Eschewing the popular media narrative that the nation had shifted away from conservative ideals, as evidenced by the last two presidential elections, he said, that might be true if Republicans had actually nominated conservative candidates in 2008 and 2012. But Mr. Portman's new support for same-sex marriage sent a powerful statement on the other side of the question that is certain to reverberate throughout the discussion today.